Welcome back. We're still reviewing the papers. Who's ready with any story in the Punch?
Okay, so I have LASEC. The elections are tomorrow, and so the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission has declared that any incident of ballot snatching in any of the 57 local councils that they will be conducting election will result in a by-election. So just carry your phone and snap somebody that carries the ballot as they go. The whole election in the EC, they will do it again. According to the according to the chairman of LASEC, Justice Bola Okeke-Olu-Igile, retired, and she says that, of course, they are perfectly ready to do the elections, but they also know that this is a possibility. While she was addressing journalists about the elections, which is holding tomorrow, and then the Commissioner of Police has also announced no movements.
3 to 3.
So please,
you have to move.
Stay in your house.
Tomorrow we're hosting Imran's baby.
Hey.
So we'll be waiting for her.
All right. Let me take the fraudulent politicians hiding their loot in cryptocurrencies. So the EFCC chair that spoke about this thing, the chairman Ola Olukoyede, has said that fraudulent politicians have now they found a new way, that because they are now hiding their funds in crypto wallets, that their findings have shown that politicians are already perfecting the scheme of how to loot into cryptocurrency to beat investigation and the dragnet of anti-corruption. They said stolen funds are now being warehoused in wallets and payment services and are being put into investment scheme. You know what happened with CBEX? They found out that many politicians actually
had their money.
The majority of the funds were politicians' funds, and so because of that, they were able to realize that these people, they have found a way to keep their money. So the EFCC chairman explained that virtual assets are not criminal activity. They are not. It's not a negative thing, but they say that it might also fall into the wrong hand. So if you put your wallet or you put money into different crypto accounts that you cannot verify, just because you feel like it's the fastest way for you to keep your money, you are also going to be caught. But they also mentioned that technology is advancing rapidly and that they are also exploring how to use technology to find criminals who are exploiting those for money laundering schemes. So EFCC, we would always applaud when you're doing that.
Any other story?
Okay, so I have the story of the 3-year-old boy who died in his liver in his Soakaway. They say a 3-year-old boy, Chibuike Uba, has lost his life after falling into an open Soakaway at Babarinsa in the Ibeju-Lekki area of Lagos State. He said he and his mother, they went to visit his aunt, that's her sister, and that she was packing her load because they were done with the visit and they were about leaving. So she was in the room packing her load when the boy went out. The aunt got a call and she was on the phone, so she went out. So he followed her out, and when he went out, then she came back inside, and the mother now asked, "Where is the boy?" And she was like, he came back inside. She now went outside, and then when she went out, she was looking for him. Then she now saw his slippers beside the Soakaway, the open Soakaway. She now, started screaming, and then people came, they checked inside, they saw the boy, they pulled the boy out, they rushed him to the hospital, and by the time they got to the hospital, he had already, burns on his body and everything, so he later on died. Everything, so.
Yeah, so they said exactly 1 year after the Supreme Court granted full autonomy to the 774 local government areas, the federal government has continued to channel allocations through state governments. An analysis by the Punch showed that state governors retained control of council allocations totaling 4.5 trillion, which defied the landmark judgment that mandated direct funding to local governments. July 11, 2024, the Apex Court, we know that, ruled that local governments must receive their allocations directly from the Federation account, describing the long-standing practice of routing the funds through state governments as unconstitutional. So in response, the federal government constituted an inter-agency panel to oversee the implementation of the ruling and directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to open individual accounts for each of the 774 local government council areas across the country to facilitate direct disbursement. But they are saying after 1 year now, they are finding out that the process is still not implemented. Government is still collecting the money from the federation account, and they are still working on the framework. So the few times we took the story on the table, I remember that they said they are not set up many of the accounts. Many of the local governments needed proper election to get the right local government chairman before they can start disbursing money into the account. So those are some of the things that delayed the payments. But to hear that till today, they've not been transferring directly to those local governments, we need to, investigate. Something is really happening here. Let's move on now to Daily Sun. Why we moved against Jonathan in 2015. Reveal how state actors hounded them. Shadow government court delivers judgment in DSS suit against Utoro, September 29. Despite 2023 pacts, Nigeria yet to roll out 5-year visa for U.S. citizens. Edo Guba, Tinubu governors, Wike, APC hail Okpebholo's victory. World Bank to Africa, fix public service failures to win back citizens. UBA accelerates Pan-African expansion, deepens global footprint. And Constitution Review, Benjamin Kalu seeks media support, parleys and editors. What stories do we have in the Daily Sun?
For the first time in a while, I'm going to agree with the World Bank on this one. It says to African countries, it says fix public service failures to win back your citizens. And at their newly released country policy and institutional assessment, CPIA 2024, that was released, the report that was released yesterday, they said that Sub-Saharan Africa maintained a stable average score of 3.1 out of 6, and this region keeps struggling to turn policy reforms into tangible benefits for citizens. Confidence in government's ability to efficiently transform public resources into essential services is fundamental to fostering shared purpose with citizens and improving trust. Some of the things that Japa people claim is that, I love Nigeria, but it's not working. Things are not working because we don't institutionalize, these policies of progress or is to live in here. We don't have proper institutions working, and we don't need World Bank to tell us, except that, sometimes it's from outside. They used to correct some sharing to come back home.
Any other story in the Sun?
Yes, I have a story concerning the judgment. So, you know that there's been an ongoing case against Professor Utoro concerning the fact the shadow government that was mentioned, that Professor Utoro alleged to establish a shadow government within Nigeria, and they're saying it's illegal, but it's been in court, and Justice James Omotosho has fixed the date for after the council had spoken. Both councils, DSS council as well as Utoro's lawyer, which is Chief Michael Zekume San, have spoken. They said that they were going to be delivering final judgment on this case, adjourned to September 29th. He said the impute of, there was a word used that I do not understand.
You don't want to use on TV?
I don't know. I don't know how to even pronounce it, like a French word. The judge announced that they are consulting professors of law and all of that would be involved in how the final judgment would be delivered. So we're looking forward to September 29, because I actually ignorantly felt like it was okay to have a shadow government. Let's have an opinion from the opposition on what they would do.
Shadow government means something different. It means undermining, a shadow now, undermining the government. So you can have an opposition party
that is telling you what they would do per time.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but a shadow government is totally different. That's against the law. Yeah.
Okay, so I have the story about the richest man in Africa coming out to say that the NNPC refineries...
Please call his name again.
...may never work. Dangote. They said the president of Dangote Group, that's Alhaji Aliko Dangote, has doubted the possibility of the state-owned Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna refineries ever functioning again. He stated this, that the refinery, which are under management of the NNPC, had gulped up to $18 billion, and yet they have refused to work. He said this when the students from the Lagos Business School came to visit his factory, and then he took them around, and he was now explaining why this happened, that he had plans of buying the refinery off during Obasanjo's regime, but he was not able to. He bought them actually, but when the new government came, that was Yaradua, collected it back and said that they're going to work on it. That the then NNPC, the group managing director of NNPC that time, said that they're going to make sure that the refineries are going to work. But up till now, see now that the refineries are not working.
Okay, our final paper for today, Vanguard. Visa war. Federal government explains stance as U.S. slams tighter measures. I've taken that story. Shetima to APC, PDP, ADC, NMPP. We are all one. Federal government to borrow 1.76 trillion through treasury bills in Q3, that's this year 2025. Only court can stop local government polls, according to LASIEC. We have one here. Tinubu reforms boosting economic recovery, federal government. If not for Tinubu, Buhari wouldn't have won APC primary presidency. Senate sacks Natasha Odwaha as committee chairman. Which stories do we have in the Vanguard?
Okay, so I have the thing don't close. Federal government to borrow 1.7 trillion through treasury bills. The federal government has started plans to borrow 1.7 trillion as part of financing for the 2025 budget, and they've started selling treasury bills in this third quarter of the year. This represents about 12.8% year-on-year increase when compared to the 1.56 trillion that they had to borrow and so that they sold the third quarter of 2024. So if those of us interested in investing through the federal government, I think this is
a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time
to do that.
Announce that, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ladies. That's all we can take on the newspaper reviews today. When we come back, we'll move on to the topic of the day. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.